Today's video, well, it's a relaxing Saturday. It's actually gorgeous weather out right now. It's probably high 60s. Today I'm going to talk to you about dry aging beef or meat, and then I'm going to cook some venison for you. The last video, a couple of people had questions about it, so I figured I'd do that, so hold on. Hey guys, not a whole lot of yard work to do. We're out this year. Most years we don't do a whole lot of deer hunting, but this year my son and I decided we're gonna put some meat up in the freezer because meat has gotten so expensive. But I wanna tell you how we dry age every piece of meat that we buy. So let me explain. There are restaurants that have extremely expensive meat for sale. And some of those meats are 30-day dry, air dry age, 60, 90. There's all kinds of aging processes. But the meat that you buy from the store or from wherever you are generally is not aged very well, and it's very bright pink. So if you see it and it's very bright pink, typically it's not aged very well when it comes to beef. So all we do is we wait till we see a sale. So we watch the sale flyers. We look for whole filet, we look for New York strip, or we look for ribeyes. But we buy it whole, and that's the key to this, is you have to buy a half or you have to buy a whole. You cannot buy cut up steaks and do this. All you're gonna do is you're gonna take it out of the plastic, I rinse it off in the sink, dry it off with a paper towel, and then I put it on sort of a baking rack and put it inside the fridge, and I leave it. After about 7 days, I'll start cutting some steaks from it, and we'll have steaks out of it. And after about 10 or 15 days, I'll cut it all in steaks, and then I'll shrink wrap it, or I'll vacuum seal it, put it in the freezer. The difference is absolutely amazing. Even my son, he'll come over when I'm doing this, and how many days has that been? I said, put it in 2 days ago. He goes, no, I don't want any. I'll wait. So I'll cut him a steak after. He wants it about 7 to 10 days, and he knows. That meat just becomes extremely tender, very flavorful. It's absolutely wonderful. Well, we do the same with wild game. So we harvest a deer here in our backyard area. We'll harvest a deer. Within the hour, that meat is going into the fridge we just bought from Lowe's and stuck it in the garage, a cheap refrigerator, and it's got all wire racks. And what I did was I put a little USB fan inside of that, and it keeps the air circulating. So that meat will sit there inside that circulating air, and it'll dry age. The venison, I typically, because it's larger pieces of meat, you get a big ribeye or New York strip or even a filet, the venison that we have is only about that big. So I would say I age my venison that way probably about five or 6 days. If you do it any longer than that in that air dry, you can get sort of a hard crust start to build up. And then what I'll do is I'll vacuum seal it, put it in the freezer. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the meat, and I'll show you it in the fridge. I'm going to vacuum seal it, and then I'm going to come out and I'm going to make probably my favorite recipe for venison tenderloins. It's a tenderloin and onion marinated fry on top of white rice. It's absolutely delicious. So here we go. Hold on. So we've been wanting a refrigerator in the garage anyways for a while. So I went online to Lowe's and I said, what's the cheapest refrigerator you got? And it was about $500. So what I did was I want air circulation in this. So if you'll see, there's a little USB fan, which I just unplugged. And then I just put all the meat. Now this is ready to be shrink wrapped. I put all the meat in here, and it's been dry aging, and that air consistently circulates. Now I'm glad, because this refrigerator, because it's cheap, actually came with racks, and then I ordered more racks on Amazon, so I have tons of racks in here, which is really nice. So that meat is ready to vacuum seal. So I'm kind of working in close quarters here today, but let me just show you what I'm using. I'm using my old Food Saver. I've had this thing, I don't know how many years I've had this. I'll try and find a link to the Food Saver that I'm using. And then these are heavy duty heat seal rods. They're 11 inches wide, it's 12 feet long, and there's 2 rolls per box. And let me show you how this works in case you don't know. Basically, there's a roll down here of plastic. You put your roll inside here, and then close that up. And all you're gonna do is just pull this bag to the white line there. Then on this little knob, make sure your unit's on. Close it. Little seal light will come on. and it's actually going to make a bag. So you're putting in your bottom seal here. When that light goes off, I just turned it on. So I go ahead and I pull this bag out now, and my bottom is sealed. And then I pull it out to the size that I want. And all I do is I use this little cutter tool here. It's hard to do with one hand here. Cut it, and now I've got a bag. Put the meat inside the bag, slide it in here, and then push seal, and that's it. That's how you do it. Pull it, and then pull out what you need. Probably about like that. Cut it across. This one's a little bit larger, so I'll put that one in there. And now you know why I cut my meat this big, because it's an 11-inch bag. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to stick it in here. Red light on. It's now sealing it. And it's ready to go. Gosh, this is gorgeous. Give another bag, piece of meat. Put it there. Now these two pieces of meat are actually the deer tenderloin, so I'm not going to freeze them because we're actually going to cook those. Okay, so most of the meat is now processed and up in the freezer. This is only part of a deer, it's not a whole deer. So I've got it all in here, it's all frozen now, nice and pretty and processed. And I actually took some over to Barb, gave some to Barb, she can have some. I've got a little bit more down in here that we're going to cook tomorrow. My son Ryan wants me to cook some, so I'll save some unfrozen for him down there too. I would say probably 2 deer will just about fill up this freezer if they're completely butchered. So a deer will put off quite a bit of meat. Okay, I'm also show you how I'm cooking these today. So I'm going to take the tenderloins, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them up into pieces. Like such. I'm going to take those pieces and I'm going to put them into a Ziploc. It's absolutely gorgeous meat. Can you see that? It's gorgeous. I'm going to put it in the Ziploc. And I'm just going to do a little marinade for it. And what am I using for my marinade? The first thing is Coke. I'm going to put a little bit of Coke in here, probably, about half a cup of Coke. The next thing I'm going to put in is I'm going to put in a little barbecue sauce. Now this is just cheap. Actually, I use low sugar barbecue sauce. My wife buys it. Do I need to lose weight, honey? I'm going to put about a 1/4 cup of barbecue sauce in there. Then I'm actually going to take a dry rub. I actually like cooking my meat. This is Texas Smokehouse Beef Rub, Grill Masters. Love this stuff. So I'm going to take this and a tablespoon maybe. I don't want too much. I'm just going to whisk this. And it has that sweet barbecue. The Coke gives it the sweetness, the barbecue sauce gives it the barbecue flavor, and then that smoke rub, Texas smoke rub, gives it a smoky taste. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to pour this into the bag, carefully, because I always spill crap. then I am going to let this marinade. Oh, I'll let that marinate for about 2 hours. Because I cut up the meat already, it doesn't have to sit like overnight or anything. I just want a little bit of flavor on top of that. I'll take a hot frying pan with a little bit of oil and throw it in there. You have to add oil when you're cooking venison. Don't make that mistake. You really need to add a little bit of oil. So let me just tell you what I've done. Number one, if you don't have a camp stove like this, let me show it to you. I'll put a link to it. I got this one off Amazon. I don't cook inside anymore, especially when I'm doing real hot, kind of like frying like this. I'm just going to turn this on. And this really, it gets a lot hotter than my side grill too. I've got just a little bit of oil in my pan. You always want to add a little bit of oil whenever you're cooking venison because it's just so lean. Now, let me tell you what I've done. I've taken the venison and I put it in a colander and I've let the excess marinade drain off. I don't want too much of that flavor. I've chopped up a small white onion, but before I chop that up, I sprinkled a little bit of flour on the meat and just sort of mixed it up. And that'll sort of bind that flavor to the meat. So I'm going to put my onions off to the side here for a minute while I get my meat in here. I always like to use a big frying pan. And you can see why I like to use a big frying pan because I can spread out the parts here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut this off. And I'm just going to let them sit there and rest. Go get my rice real quick. Okay. So this is just white basmati rice. It's like regular white rice, but a little bit different, a little bit longer. I'll just put some of this right on here. Love me some onions, as you can tell. Yeah. Doesn't that look delicious? Ooh, baby, look at that. That looks delicious right there. Let me just show you what this looks like inside. That is just gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. The meat is wonderful. Just beautiful. You can cut it with a fork, basically. A little bit of the meat. Very, very good. Very good. I actually might want a little bit of salt on it, but that is delicious. Ooh. Man, I'll tell you what, that is my favorite way to eat venison. Air dried, age, soft, real tender. Get a little bit of marinade flavor inside of it. And then do that flash fry with onions and put it on rice. I'm addicted to salt, so I always put a little salt on it. Oh, It's so good. I stopped and I gave Barb some meat, and I took a little plate and brought some over to Barb so she could taste it, because I told her about that recipe, and it's just amazing. Now, we also make country fried steaks where we take the back straps, we cut them, and we pound them with a meat cleaver, a meat hammer. We dip them in flour, we fry them, and then we put them in a pan, we cover them with gravy, throw them in the oven, we bake them for about 30, 45 minutes. Oh, put them on like mashed potatoes or something like that. It's just fantastic. Absolutely wonderful. So anyways, guys, no matter what meat you're buying, try this. Look for something on sale, buy it whole, air dry it, 7 to 10 days, and you'll see that meat darken up. You'll see the enzymes start to actually work and tenderize that meat. The flavor becomes more beefy. It actually has a more beef flavor to it. And if you're doing it for wild game, man, it's just fantastic. Lazy Sunday afternoon. That's about it. Talk to you later.